from the First Street Studios in South Tampa, Florida, it's time for another round of Last Call 76 with your host, Dan, Jay, and behind the camera, the one and only Jess.
Did you call him a Pez dispenser?
I sure did.
What the hell is that?
You don't know what a Pez dispenser is?
Oh, yeah, I know what a Pez dispenser is. I know what a Pez dispenser is.
That's what Mike McDaniel reminds me of. All he does is just ramble.
Okay, now I see. Now I see
spitting out little candy wafers. You remember that?
Bro, we're of the same age demographic. I know what a Pez dispenser is. I just didn't know how to do it.
Let's get back to what we want to talk about.
All right.
Very important.
You call my coach a Pez dispenser.
That's what he sounds like. He mumbles.
Well, let's move on to topics.
Look at my white shoes with the tag. Look, it's cold. This is what Mike McDaniel talks like. Go ahead. Sorry.
Let's talk about former Dolphins coaches. Nick Saban. Now, last video, you talked about Bill Belichick, Nick Saban.
It's a Bama. Hey, let's hold up just for a sec. Go for it. Mink Sink that does all my stuff.
Mink Sink.
Hey, look at my shirt.
Mink Sink.
How cool is that?
Hey, we even make female swag too. Everybody wants to see you, man. They've seen us all the time. They want to see you, man. He even got my boss back in Pennsylvania adding you on his Facebook. They want to see that. That's what they want.
You have to jump up there.
We haven't got female. Hey, you need a boost. You need to step on the screen.
You need to do some crisscross. You're gonna jump. Daddy make it jump. Crisscross will make it. Get
jump.
All right. So that's a cool shirt. Anyway, this is awesome. We're getting better. We're gonna have our site up. It's already up, but we're adding shirts and stuff. So anyway, get back on top. We'll talk about Nick Saban.
All right.
Another big departure this year. Unexpected. I mean, his daughter was talking a little bit. I think there might be a little health issues with his wife. I'm not sure. We don't get into speculations or rumors.
He said, she said BS.
What's that?
He said, she said BS, right?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, man, what is next for Nick Saban? He's keeping an office in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. Where do you think this ended? Perhaps the greatest college football coach of our generation. Some would argue with Bear Bryant because of the legacy of Alabama. We're not going to mention Penn State's coach just because I'm not involved in that. But I don't think we could ever sit here and say Nick Saban, not professionally, but college-wise, winning one at LSU, winning 6 over at Alabama.
Won at Michigan State.
Not a national championship.
No, but he won at a high enough level.
Yeah, he did. So, but I'm saying national champions to go out with 7. I mean, dude, that'll never be touched again in our lifetime. We just talked about it before. Give them all the credit in the world. I'm sure there's a lot of hate out there for Alabama. They're like the Dallas Cowboys. You either love them or you hate them, and more people hate them than they love them. But at the end of the day, you can't take away what he has built. He has built an organization. In fact, he's even helped LSU.
Oh, yeah.
LSU is a prime candidate for one of the best football teams in basically the SEC for the last 10 years because of him.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about it, what will his legacy be? The best, the GOAT of college football.
No close second.
No close second. And there never will be. Not with the new transformation of college football. Yeah. This is it, guys. I mean, you could coach from this day on in college football. You will never in our lifetime see somebody win 7 national championships again. It's impossible. People will say, oh, that's a big statement. No, that is the facts. Look at how many kids transferred out already of Georgia, out of Alabama, out of Florida State.
Yeah.
Just as an example,
yeah.
Keeping it short. We will never see a coach in college football in our lifetime again that even gets 4.
No.
We just won't, because too many players have the ability to move now, right? Long gone are the days where Nick Saban can have 5-star recruits at every position that sit the bench till they're juniors.
Yeah.
They're not doing that no more.
Right.
Kids are getting paid. They know they have to move to be seen.
Right.
And so what do you think about that?
You know what? It's the truth. And it's the truth. We will not see a coach, like I said about Belichick last video, which I think it's very ironic. Saban retires 24 hours before Belichick winds up being removed, retiring from New England involuntarily. They're so intertwined. Listen, Saban...
Peas in a pot.
Yeah, peas in a pot. They're one and the same. Saban, 6 national titles since 17 years. That's insane. And Alabama was, if they weren't If they weren't winning national titles, they were heavily in contention. A perennial top 5 team. Perennial. And listen, all that being said, greatest of all time, did it in an era where of much more competitiveness. I think, though, now is the right time for him to step away. The game that we knew even 5 years ago, Dan, is changing. We're moving more into the NIL. We're moving more into the mass expansion to where we're moving away from the multiple conferences. We've got basically, by the time it's all said and done, I think we're going to have 3 conferences. I think it's going to be the Big Ten or whatever. They need to desperately change that. The Big. You've got the SEC and the conglomeration of whatever the Big 12 used to be. I think that's it. We're moving away from what we once knew. Yet the transfer portal is active. And I think for in the old guard like Nick Saban, it's time for him to move on.
It was time.
It was time. And I think the fact that and I know this may fry the derrieres of a lot of Florida State fans, but I think if he went out, he deserved to win it, go at least attempt to win another national title. At least attempt. And, that's a whole other video for its own right, whether Florida State deserved it or not. But Saban, the guy brought college football to an entirely new level. And I'm going to say this, if it wasn't for Nick Saban, I don't think this expansion happens. I don't think these TV deals happen. I don't think the NIL
100%
happens because everybody wanted to keep up with Alabama. I don't think the tradition. And, the guy had a tradition, exactly right. And I'm going to piggyback off what Jessica said. That guy walked in to a monster pressure cooker situation. People don't realize how tough that job was when he came in there, when he left the Dolphins to take over. 7 6 years.
You say that too, because a lot of people don't know that time frame. They just know that he was at LSU.
Yeah, he was with the Dolphins.
NFL, but it was actually LSU National Championship.
Yep.
2 years or 3 years with the Dolphins, and then to Alabama with a losing team.
Yeah, and then
who did he replace? Sterling or
he replaced Mike Shula. Ironically enough, think about that.
I know. What's the odds of that? You leave Don Shula's camp.
And then
I think there was something there, but good catch on that.
But think about that though. The shadow of Bear Bryant still lived. Nobody could live up to the shadow of the Bear. And the team had won a national title between the day Bear stepped down and ultimately passed away shortly thereafter and the time Saban went over. They won it with Gene Stallings. But it was never enough. They'd cycle through coaches, Bill Curry and Dennis Francione, who the pressure got so much for him, he left for Texas A&M. Yeah. I mean, they would bring in some coaches and it wasn't enough. Mike Price, who was there long enough to get himself in trouble. That shadow of Bear Bryant lived large. Saban came in there and he didn't shovel the grass underneath it. He didn't bury it, but he embraced it and he said, look, Bear is Bear, but I'm going to make my own legacy. Mm-hmm. And Alabama fans may not say he's better, whatever. I'm not going to say who's better, who's worse. Nick Saban certainly left a huge shadow for whoever's going to wind up following up. And we know it's Kalen DeBauer of Washington. We got a whole video about that coming up. We got mailbags galore. He left a shadow that's going to be a hell of hard to fill.
I just thought it was an interesting move, though, with Saban leaving, and he had the choice, basically. He had a say. He's keeping an office there at Alabama. Ooh. I was interested with the Washington move. We're going to talk about it in another show. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking it was Kiffin. I don't know. It was kind of like I thought somebody would pull from the Alabama food tree.
Yeah.
Or the food pantry, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then to go all the way up there with a guy that was NAIA national champion 3 times, I believe. Yeah. But no real credentials, so to speak. I mean, wins are wins.
Right.
But when I was looking at all this, and even the Oregon guy helped me out with this.
Dan Lanning.
Yeah. I thought there was a little bit more substance on those ends, and then he brought in that. He didn't.
Right, I know what you mean.
But I was kind of floored by it. I was hearing it the night before.
Yeah.
Through some chats.
But you broke it on the channel.
Yeah, I did. I broke it on my channel probably before most people did. But I was blown away by it. That's why I said I'm 99% sure. Because I wasn't sure. I was kind of blown away by it, to be honest with you. I don't think it's a bad move just to get some new flavor. Because Saban, you got to admit, he wasn't there either.
No, he was an outsider.
So when you look big picture, it sometimes change is good, right? So then how do you approach that? We'll talk about that in another show with that move. Mm-hmm. But simply put, guys, here's the deal. If you're a coach, right, and you asked me this last night, I was going to reiterate. There's 3 priorities in college football, or any sport really, but especially college football. And these are the rules. So when that coach comes in to Alabama, Don't make it long. You got assistant coaches to lay out your rules, but you give 3 standards. Don't make it long. You can't come in and replace Nick Saban.
Don't even try.
Don't. So this is what you do. You simply just walk in there and you say this. If you're a coach anywhere, or if you're in professional sports at all, right? You go in there and say, look, this is what I expect right now. We have 4 or 5 months till we get on the field again, right? You got to be a law-abiding citizen.
Yep.
That's your rule 1. Rule 2 is you have to stay eligible. Because if you don't stay eligible and you don't make it to class on time, then you're not eligible to play, right? And 3, we are here to win. That's it. Those are your 3 priorities that all that coach needs to say. Be a law-abiding citizen, be eligible, and win football games. That's what you tell an 18-year-old kid. And then let the coaches mentor after that. I'm the head coach. You know, I have other things to fry. I got community events to go to. I got recruiting to do, whatever. When these coaches come in and they sit there, well, you know, here's my resume, and let me tell you about this. You know, when I was in high school, da-da-da. No, stop. You need to be the continuity piece between the athletic director, the SEC, right, the NCAA. The last thing you need to do is come into an organization and try to replace Nick Saban, because that's not going to work. You lay out 3 rules, everybody's in the conference room, and you go, look, this is what I expect from you right now.
Yeah.
When you come to the University of Alabama, the long story tradition of this university, Bear Bryant, Nick Saban, and I have the golden opportunity to enhance this, paint my canvas, so to speak. You have a chance. This is all you got to do. Be a law-abiding citizen. Set the standard early. Remain eligible. Go to class. Don't talk back to your teacher. Sit up front and ask for help if you don't understand the subject. And the third thing is win. Isn't that about as simple as it gets?
It's as easy as it gets.
Why do these coaches, these new hires, why do they come in there and try to make it difficult? I expect one thing. I want you to follow the law. I want you to study in school, and I want you to win football games. That's as simple as it gets.
If you're coming into a situation like that.
Am I right?
No, you're absolutely right. If you're in a situation like that where it's made, don't fix what isn't broken. Exactly. Some of these guys will try to come in here, and I don't know if Kalen DeBoer is going to do this or not. I don't know if Kalen DeBoer is going to do this or not. You know where I'm about to go with this? Excuse the crudeness here. Some of these coaches will try to sit there and you know what I'm saying with that?
Yeah, they want to own it, right?
Yeah, they want to put their junk on the table and say, look how big mine is. Your resume doesn't mean a damn thing until you coach a game at a school like Alabama, like Texas, like Michigan.
100%.
What you did
at
Ohio State, what you did at San Diego State or Washington, what you did last week doesn't mean a diddly poo. It's a different ballgame when you get to Alabama, okay? So go in there and don't try to reinvent the wheel. Do exactly what this man said. Keep the status quo, put your own wrinkle on it, and follow the 3 criteria. And when we say win, we're not talking 7 or 8 games, okay?
No, we're talking win a championship.
Yeah.
That's your focus, right? But if you can't do the 2 rules before what I said, then you can't play on Saturday. That's why you have to put the rules up front. You can't break the law. You got to stay eligible, right?
Yeah.
And we have to win a national championship. That's it.
Rule 4.
You adding a rule to my rules?
Yeah.
I'll let you.
Rule 4. Don't do anything stupid that violates NCAA violations.
Yeah, by picking up an agent, right? Now that you get paid, you got to pay tax.
Now there's no reason
you got to pay jock tax, right?
Yeah, and I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I thought
I was just talking about establishing an early standard.
Yeah.
But that's breaking the law, though.
If NCAA law, so you're talking NCAA law.
Don't break the law.
Period.
Be an honorable person.
Right.
Study, right? And then win. That's all your 3 things you got to do as a kid coming to Alabama. That's all they ask. So they're going to give you a place to live. They're going to feed you. You're going to get NIL money. You're going to get all those things.
Yep.
But breaking the law is not doing your taxes, right? That's what I mean by that. Those are the 3 priorities. Nobody else should say nothing else.
Yep.
And then let the coaches explain what I'm saying, Coach O'Brien's saying, to the players in their groups, you know, like the offensive line coaches, defense coordinators. Let them explain my standard. But you have to establish a standard there now, because the greatest standard bearer in college football is now gone.
That's right. And best to you, Nick. You've had a heck of a run. We'll never see it again.
Yeah, thanks to Nick Saban. Thanks to the Alabama organization. Not my team in any way, shape, or form. But I am addicted to winners, as you know.
Absolutely.
And he was a winner. And his players generally stayed out of trouble. They didn't cause a lot of problems. They have a great organization, very storied organization. It's never going away. It's as big of a brand as the Dallas Cowboys in the world. So we're not going to talk much more about it. I think this is the best way to end on it.
Agreed.
We saw something we're never going to see in our lifetime again of somebody that can win 7 national championships.
Not like this.
Right? Especially from 2 storied universities.
Exactly.
Because anybody who thinks LSU's not a storied university, you got problems too. I mean, they're a very good program doing things in other sports, gymnastics, girls basketball, right? It's not like LSU is a chopped liver university.
True.
Down in Baton Rouge, right? So congrats to Nick Saban, to the LSU guys that you got a national championship out of that. Alabama got 6, right? Not a bad way to go out.
Not at all. Go out on top.
Go out on top, and that's the way you do it. Hey, that's Last Call. Subscribe if you like our show. We try to do things a little bit different here than what you see on other networks, right? Everybody's screaming back and forth. We will have debates, but we want to tell you the truth from our lens.
Right.
So thanks for subscribing. Thanks, Jess. Thanks, Jay. We'll get back to you in a minute. This episode of Last Call was brought to you by SJP Snapshots and Minx Inc. Clothing and Apparel.